Welcome, welcome to Libertarians Drinking Coffee Live. Yes, the brand is still strong. For everyone watching, I appreciate the time and energy of you giving me a little bit of your weekend. See what my head is. A little bit of your weekday. That's what I meant. It's Wednesday. It's hump day. So a little bit of your weekday. I appreciate that. Looking that a lot of people throughout this country are trying to make impact on their at the local level. So I appreciate that. And you guys watching. And of course, please like, comment, and share. I am very lucky today. I have with me one of those people, someone who is trying very hard to make change at her state level. She's been trying to make change at the local level for literally years now. And now she's running for chair of the LPPA, which is the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania. Jen Moore, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on, Larry.
I am very happy to have you on the show. And I guess, you know, the bureaucracy of the LP can be daunting. It can be sometimes brutal. It can be all those things. So I'll ask the crazy question. Why in the world would you want to run for chair, and why now?
Well, you know, truthfully, I'm a better administrator than candidate. Not that I haven't been a candidate. I ran for office in 2017 and I was elected to township auditor, and I ran again this past year for auditor general to help us get minor party status, and we were successful in that as well. That being said, my niche really is administration. I have a very high threshold for that bureaucracy, and you know, there's a reason why we do things the way we do things. But going on to why now, I originally joined the state board after my run for township auditor. It was a situation where I went through a ballot challenge. The Republican supervisor in the township actually challenged me and tried to knock me off the ballot so that they could appoint their own auditor who set his pay. So I just felt like there was no support. There wasn't even anyone to answer questions or point me to a lawyer. And I wanted there to be more of a focus on elections. So I, joined up with the state party. I was elected Eastern vice chair. And, from there we started building. We ran I ran the paid petition drive in 2018. In 2019, I was an integral part of the Moulton maneuver where we targeted races that were winnable. So we won 47 elections that year, and it was mostly me, Dr. Moulton, and Wes Benedict were the three who were really active on that project.
Wes, he was the former director for the LP National, right?
Correct. And he just was amazing. Like, he learned PA election law inside and out within days. And he was just, helping people get on the ballot. But it was a lot of work, and I'm hoping to ramp that up this year. But, then in 2020, in pandemic conditions, we needed to collect 10,000 signatures and get on the ballot. And I ran that paid drive as well. I worked on a federal lawsuit trying to get those requirements reduced. I was one of the key witnesses, which, the real kicker in that court case was when the Democrats council got up there and told me that COVID-19 was only dangerous in my opinion.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
The Democrats intervened in our case, and their council actually told me that. So,
okay. So, I like that.
The reason why now, we have been building, we have a team that shares this vision. We went from under 200 members to over 1,000 now. We were raising $6,000 a year, and now we're raising $100,000 a year. And we are winning elections. I want to stay on this trajectory. I mean, this is a long-term strategy. You don't do it, by changing gears in the middle of your 10-year strategy. So, really, why now?
I like what you're saying. I've got someone here. Bonnie pops up. She says Jennifer was a queen during our signature collection season. So you have some fans, Jen, that's for sure.
Well, Bonnie also deserves to be recognized and Bonnie is actually running for our secretary. But Bonnie, I was in the middle of this paid petition drive. I had a dozen paid petitioners in the field, and paid petitioners they're a tough bunch to manage. I mean, you've got to find out where they are and, make sure they have everything.
I played that game when I ran for governor. I'm with you.
Yeah, you know. So Bonnie, she came through the Jorgensen campaign, and I had all these individual people coming to me and saying, I want to sign. Where do I sign? And I'm like, I just cannot handle these individual requests. Yeah. And Sam Robb, who's our Western vice chair, introduces me to Bonnie, and I'm like, here's this pile of work. Good luck. I need you to contact these people. And she did. I mean, she like
So
set
hold
up.
on, Sam Robb. That's the Rob Mob guy, right? Who ran for
That's
president,
right.
right?
That's right.
I know Rob.
Yep.
I still got a shirt. Hashtag Rob Mob. He gave it to
He's
me when I
part of
went
our
to the.
team now.
Yes, I
But
remember.
yeah,
That's good.
Bonnie is one of the unsung heroes of that petition drive, because not only did she organize it, but she got local people to get petitions to all those single activists who wanted to sign. And
So hold on.
of our
Let me bring up an important point that I think a lot of libertarians have to understand. You said something early on, which I don't want to just kind of glaze over. You said, I think I'm a better administrator than I am candidate, but you've been a candidate. This is something that I think the party as a whole doesn't understand. The party as a whole doesn't understand that we need a good division of labor, a voluntary division of labor, people who prefer certain things over others, people who like and are better at certain things over others. There are people like a West Benedict who would love to go down and they'll learn election law. And there are some people who you tell them that, and they're going to run away as fast as they possibly can.
Yep.
And neither is right and neither is wrong, but we've got to find the right people who want to do the right things. We too often think that, well, we've all got to be activists, or we all have to be candidates, or we all have to be. No, I think what you're talking about is very valuable. We want to realize what we're good at and what we should do because we want to do it. People ask me to be the chair of my party. I'm like, I'm a candidate guy, right? That's not who I am. And it was better for me to do, I think, what I did than to try to become chair of New York State. I think we have a great chair, and I think he's better at it than I would have been. To be forward with you.
Honestly, Steve Sheets, our current chair, I don't know if he's watching right now, but he's a better candidate. It's what he loves. It charges him up. And he's running for our nomination for U.S. Senate. And, that really is him going home to his real niche, because that is what he needs to be doing. He's such a powerful voice as a candidate. I mean, not that he was a bad chair, but, it's better for all of us if you go to the position that fits you.
100%, the one you want to be in, completely. And I'm glad you said, because we actually have, and you know this, of course, we have a lack of talent across the country, right? I'd love for us to run 7,000 candidates. I don't think we have 7,000 candidates to run. And if we ran 7,000 candidates, we'd have no support staff. We'd have no admin personnel. We'd only have 7,000 candidates all on their own. So I get what you're saying. You're saying we have to have better infrastructure so that we can draw more talent, so that we can get more and better candidates. I get what you're saying completely. It makes total sense.
Absolutely. And you don't want those candidates who had to do everything on their own to be completely burnt out by the end of their campaign. Even if you're not giving a lot of monetary or volunteer support, just being there to walk them through, FEC guidelines or state filings. It's really important for the party to have that structure, for us to tell them when they get a ballot challenge that, hey, you really shouldn't spend the money on a lawyer on this because you're not going to win it. I mean, it's a hard thing to tell someone, but we need to have the resources before they go and drop that $1,000 retainer.
Because those $1,000 could have been spent someplace else.
Exactly.
Absolutely could have been spent someplace else. For those of you who want to see what she's doing, please head over to our Facebook page. It's Facebook, of course, and it's Moore, MOORE, success 4 PA. Check that out, and you can see what she's doing. So what are your top, I don't know, I'm sure there's 1,000 things you want to work on. Can you give me like the top 3 that you think, or 2 even, or, a couple of them that you think kind of float to the top for you in Pennsylvania right now?
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest thing in the immediate future is that I want to bring the Moulton Maneuver into 2021. We won 47 elections in 19.
Tell the audience what the Moulton Maneuver is.
Sure. What we do. Yeah, Dr. Chuck Moulton, this was his brainchild, and his idea was to contact registered libertarians in places where there was no one else on the ballot. We have a window in Pennsylvania after the primary, but between our finals signature deadline, this year will be August 2nd, where we have 5 or 6 weeks where we can find places where there's nobody running. And if we get someone on the ballot, there's a 99% chance they're going to win. And it's all kinds of positions. I mean, it's sometimes supervisor and mayor, it's constable, it's auditor, judge and inspector of elections. Lots of races that are completely winnable. And, yes, you're not running a contested race, but you're putting a libertarian into office,
Yes.
and they're serving in public office in their community. We have hundreds.
And those numbers matter. The fact that you can say
Yeah.
47 candidates elected makes the idea that, well, libertarians don't run anything. Well, we got 47 people running something.
Yep. And
So,
I mean,
yeah.
in some places we have like, actual, controlling votes for borough council or, auditor, like, we actually have a libertarian quorum. So, that's really important. But going into this year, I honestly think that with the number of people that have come to this party through the Jorgensen campaign and all the new counties we've organized, we're saying that we want to win 100 elections. I think we can win 150. I think 100 is very conservative.
So you've been now building new county organizations, right?
Right.
How many counties are there in Pennsylvania?
In Pennsylvania, we have 67. And that kind of leads. Yeah, that leads me into, the next major point, in addition to winning these elections and leveraging all that experience I have with this process, I want to get the last 22 up and organized. As a vice chair. Are
you doing better than us? Now I'm jealous. We've got 62 counties. We've only got about 31 organized. So you're beating us. Ugh.
That is the main goal of our vice chairs. In our bylaws, that's their main job. In my time as Eastern Vice Chair over the past 3 years, I've helped 11 counties organize. So I'm very good at this. Really, it's the people on the ground who are doing it. You're just giving them guidance. I mean, they're the ones who do all the work here, but we only have 22 left. And I think in the next year, maybe 2, we'll get there. And having that local structure feeds into us winning these elections.
100%. 100%.
Everywhere where we had boots on the ground and we had local people following up on these candidates that we recruit them by sending them a letter. And we walk them through ballot access. But if somebody local gives them a call a week later and says, hey, did you get your signatures? Do you need help? Yep. I mean, those are the people who get it done and they win.
I got to tell you, when I was running for governor of New York, I could tell a difference when I would do events in all the counties, right? If there was a county organization affiliate that was in that county, the events always went better. I mean, every single time they were better, right? But when there was no county affiliate, that's when we struggled to get people there. We struggled to get press there. We struggled to have a good event. But when I had county affiliates, press would show up, people would be there, signs would be out there. I mean, everything would happen. That infrastructure, you're right, it supports candidates and it makes the candidate want to keep going, right? When he or she feels like, my God, I'm slogging up a mountain and I can't get anywhere. And now you've got that county affiliate going, no, we're behind you. Keep going. Don't stop. Keep going. And it makes the person want to keep going.
It certainly does. I mean, and we're getting close. I mean, just the exponential growth is amazing. And that comes into kind of, my third point is the fact that we have grown significantly and we just need to shift some things around to manage that. Right now, our executive director is answering almost all of the correspondence to new members and Facebook messages. And like, we need to have him focused on fundraising and some of the more strategic things. So we need to shift some of this burden. I would like to ramp up our internship program that we started a year or so back. I would like to get more structured social media campaigns and people who are really good at that. And, just have, dedicated people who are following up, greeting new members, pointing them to their county. We just need to, kind of shift some of those tasks to make sure that we're being as responsive as we can be to our members.
So if I understand your top one then is candidates and the Moulton maneuver to get more candidates. Next one is growing county affiliates and county organizations. And last one is kind of a reorg to deal with the new growth. Did I get that right?
That's correct.
So let me grab a couple comments if I could. I think Mr. Solowski is a little bit biased, but he goes, Jen is fantastic. She's going to be a great chair. A little biased, but I get it. Jesse asks, are victimless laws? Is that one of your priorities? Jesse says, victimless laws, I hope. Is that one of yours or is that not up there that high for you?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, as a libertarian, that's absolutely important. We actually have a legislative action committee that attacks some of this stuff. And one of the other roles of the chair, I guess that people need to realize the chair is really more of a support role. I'm here to make sure that our counties and all of our subcommittees have everything they need to be successful. You're kind of leading from behind. I mean, you're trying to motivate the volunteers, but, you're not the one who is driving the ship. You're helping the people people who are doing the work. So, I mean, yeah, I would love to see, you know, more of these decrim efforts. I would love to work with organizations that, you know, support those things, and, you know, to start actually lobbying Harrisburg. In addition, you know, just our local counties,
Sure.
even down to the township level, to see what we can get passed. I think that, you know, as the chair.
For those who don't know, Harrisburg is the Pennsylvania capital,
Right.
correct? Yep.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
this goes across the country. Not everybody knows the capital. That's all.
Yeah, I think as, you know, the chair, I would certainly be supporting the people who are doing that work. I mean, it's very important to libertarians, and it's something that we should absolutely be focused on.
So Joe says Florida ballot access laws allow for a post-census election like 2022. Has much easier requirements. Florida can run 180 Ls for state legislature relatively easily. That's amazing. So I guess Florida has similar or even easier rules than Pennsylvania.
Yep. Actually, it was interesting because I was talking to someone from Florida about this last night. After the census, we will have redistricting for U.S. Congress, and that will make our congressional requirements much lower. We won a lawsuit in 2016 that reduced our statewide down to 5,000 for president and governor and 2,500 for the other seats.
Nice.
5,000 for Senate also. It used to be 56,000. But
ours were 15 and now went to 45,000. So yeah, they went the opposite way for us.
Brutal. But you know, every other office in the state is 2% of the highest vote getter in the last election, which isn't too bad for a municipal race. But when you're talking about U.S. Congress, some of those guys have to have, you know, 4,000 signatures. I mean, it's almost the same as governor or president to run for Congress. So 2022 with the redistricting, it will help us with that particular seat. And I'm also on the National Ballot Access Committee, and that's one of the things that we have, you know, talked about looking at this year is, you know, ways to attack these states with higher requirements. So I'm really excited to be working with that team.
I love that. John Waldenberger says, thank you, Larry. Jen has been very instrumental in the success of this party the last 3 years. I have been here. She will be a rock star as chair. You've got some fans, I think. You do have a couple fans here. That's good.
When I was working on the Moulton maneuver in 2019, John met me in a mall parking lot in the middle of the night and took 9,000 letters from me, or like 900 letters, like, you know, almost 1,000 letters, and stuffed them for York County. So like John himself is a superstar who just, you know, does this stuff. He actually owns a music business in Bucks County.
Nice.
And he, you know, between customers, he's like, you know, stuffing 1,000 letters for the Moulton maneuver. So, you know,
most people don't know that there was a short time I lived in Bucks County.
Really?
I did. I lived actually in Bensalem for a short period of time.
Yep.
So yes, I
So
did live for a short period of time.
not far from Steve Sheets. He's in that region.
So I did live in that area. I started a small business in Pennsylvania.
What kind of business?
It was a distribution business. I sold it off after 2 years. Didn't do very well. But you know, that I always say my business that I failed at, that was my MBA.
Right.
That's my MBA. So
I have an actual MBA, and I tell you what, it was a lot of debt.
Yeah. So I paid less for my MBA.
Yes, there you go.
So, yes, absolutely. I paid less. So, but let's look at a bigger picture, if I could, right? If you could look at a goal or a more macro goal that you might have for Pennsylvania during your term, do you have one? Is there a 2-year goal or a 4-year goal or a 10-year goal or something that you see out there that you think, you know what, if we do this, that, you know, that's the holy grail I want to grab onto?
Absolutely. I mean, what we're doing right now with winning these small offices is building the farm team. We are getting people serving in office who are going to build the connections and the experience to move on to larger offices. By 2024, I would like to see us competitive and countywide. By 26, I think that it's possible. You know, I say it all the time. We can frontier project style send somebody to Harrisburg. We have a lot of rural counties where we have state reps who that we have 10-year incumbents. They're very lackluster. You know, they run unopposed. If we had a motivated libertarian who's going to knock all those doors, somebody who served as mayor or supervisor or borough council for 4 years and they have that experience, I mean, I think that we can
and name recognition.
Right.
Sure.
And you know, I mean, we've already, you know, proven ourselves and what we'll do when we're in government. It's no longer just this philosophical, hard line. This is what libertarians think. This is what we've actually done. So, that is the ultimate goal, is to be able to win bigger and bigger elections. I mean, that's what a political party is supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And also, as we build these connections, we can go and lobby and hopefully talk about things like, some form of ranked choice voting, and like was brought up earlier, some of these victimless crimes. As we build those relationships, we're going to have more of a say in the political sphere.
Well, I think that the part you bring up, if I understand you correctly, and I get it completely, I actually agree with what you're talking about, is that if we aren't taken seriously, then we don't have any impact on the issues that we care about, right? If I'm some guy yelling from my, from the top of my roof, victimless crimes are bad, no one cares unless they call the cops on me. But if I have an actual party behind me, if I have infrastructure behind me, if I have donors behind me, if I have a social media presence behind me, and then I start saying, let's get rid of these victimless, crime laws, then yeah, I get to have some impact. And if I get what you're saying this is for you, it's a 5-year plan almost.
Yeah. Yep. And then, at that point, we're going to come up with the next plan. And, it's not just my plan. I have to say that this is the vision that's shared by the team that we have now. I just, none of this is done in a vacuum, and I appreciate having them around so much. We have 37 people on our board because the counties, after they get up to 12 members, get a board vote in addition to all of our standing committees. So we have more of an assembly than a board. It's important for the chair to be able to manage that as well, because people have to be heard, but you have to keep things moving. Those meetings can get, off track. And I mean, you have to have somebody that actually likes to do that stuff. And there are a few of us out there that,
There's a couple of you crazy people. There are.
They actually do.
There's a couple of you. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. People were like, Larry, what would you do if you were the chair of the party? I said, let the vice chair run all the meetings. That's the first thing I said. Let the vice chair run all the meetings. I'll just stand there and smile a little bit, and I'll go talk to the press. But that's all I was thinking. So yeah.
Going back to your point about, just like, kind of screaming at the brick wall, right now, the Libertarian Party, it's very popular to put out a lot of resolutions about the lockdowns, about the passports. And those are really good issues that we should be speaking out about. But until we ally with bigger organizations and amplify our voice, we're really just talking to ourselves. We really need to find allies in these fights because, we're very small and we don't have the infrastructure yet. So we need to have that outreach.
Well, we also don't have a culture of it, I think, right? Our culture is debating, our culture is arguing, our culture is we're right. And because we've been dismissed so often, and I feel it too, that sometimes we just want to tell someone, go take a hike. Right? I just want to yell at you. You've been dismissing me for decades, and I've been right for decades, and you still dismiss me. So now I just want to tell you to go take a hike. I don't want to have a conversation now, but right now I probably should. Like logically I should, but emotionally I don't want to. And I think culturally we have to kind of break that a bit and be more open to having that conversation, even though they've been horrible to us for decades. Yeah. Sometimes we still need the individuals, right, or individual groups, or even the single issue voters, right, the single issue voter types who would either identify as Republican or Democrat, but because of a single issue would jump on our side. I think we have to be open to that. I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you have to have the self-awareness to realize, again, if that's not your niche. If you can't let that go, we need to find the person to make that outreach who can. Because there are people here who can. If you understand that you're not going to be able to build that bridge, find somebody who can and let them have it.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. Tim says we can win all the arguments we want. At the end of the day, we have to win popularity contests. That's a valid point, isn't it?
That's true.
Right?
That's very true.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, elections are popularity contests.
Yep.
I wish it wasn't true. I need to be more popular. That's my problem. I got to be more
just
popular.
Getting people on your side to show up. I mean, that's a big part of it.
Also
too,
true.
Motivating people to get there. And unfortunately, in the duopoly, most of that motivation is hate of the other guy.
Yes. And this is what we're up against. You're right. Right. And while I can't stand that, I think Tim's point's valid. Your point's valid. Sometimes we have to use their hate to our advantage, right? To get them to vote for us. that you hate this so bad, so much. Okay, great. Then vote for us and we can change it.
Yeah.
Or keep voting the same way and not. Right. I think that's really the big issue. I like that. That's good. So how are you, in your first year or two, going to make impact? I mean, this is going to be difficult, right? And not just for you. I mean, this is anybody, right? It's difficult for us as libertarians to make impact in the duopoly world. It's difficult. The media doesn't want to pay attention to us, right? Even most people, when they're watching us, hearing us, they always want to put us in the left or right box, right? Well, wait a minute. Are you really a Democrat? Are you really Republican? It's a common thing. How do we get around that massive challenge?
The train's already rolling. I mean, I'm seeing it in our local counties. I mean, we do have people who are serving in office, and I'm telling you, I have a very good relationship with my local township administration. I really have a good relationship with the Democrats. The Republicans tried to, challenge me off the ballot, and I've mostly forgiven them. But
I know the feeling.
Now they listen. But we have counties that are just excellent at press releases. And we have counties who are out there doing like First Friday events and community cleanups. And we have candidates who are doing these things as well. The more that we get out there and engage with people, the more, we're going to normalize libertarians in the community and let people know that, we're not just like unicorns that live on the internet. How many times have I been door knocking for a candidate or for ballot access and have somebody like just amazed that there's a libertarian on their doorstep, not even, not even mentioning that I'm a libertarian woman who lives in the community. But as we grow and we get bigger and bigger and there's more of us, we're going to be able to do more of that outreach. I think that door
already
doing
piece is a big piece, right? And I say that for myself. I look at, my congressperson is AOC, literally.
Right.
And when she first came to take this seat, I mean, she busted her rump. She did. Her people knocked on my door. I wasn't here, but my wife was. But they knocked on our door like they were doing it. And I think when libertarians do it, when anybody does it, but to your point about many places where people are running uncontested and they don't do that anymore. They're like, no, they basically think I own this seat, so I don't have to do anything. When we step in, I think we can win. And I think AOC is an example of that. She beat an establishment Democrat in New York City. And New York City is all about establishment Democrats, right? And she beat one because he thought he owned the seat. He's like, I don't have to show up anymore. He actually lived in Virginia.
There's so much of that. There's so much of that in politics.
Absolutely. So I think you're absolutely right. Yeah. So Samuel says, Lebanon County still has a few high turnout priority polling locations we could use help with. If anybody's willing to come out and work the polls on Tuesday, May 18th, hit me up. So if anybody wants to take that, please go ahead. You have another fan in David.
Lebanon's one of the new counties that we recently
is that right?
Yep, and they are amazing. They're doing such good work. But I'll put that call out too for volunteers.
There we go. David says Jen is awesome. You have fans, Thanks, Jen. You have fans. I was
on his show a little while ago.
I love it. Very good. So I guess if I could wrap it up in my head, you're saying now is the time to move. And the three critical pieces are, if I remember them right, if I mess it up, tell me. But the three critical pieces are getting more candidates elected using the maneuver you talked about, the multi-maneuver, growing more affiliates, right? And what was the third one? What did I miss?
The third one is just, the structural changes to handle the growth.
Reorg. And then reorg. I think those are the ones. I love it. That's what it is. And Adam says, no one will work harder or smarter for the LPPA than Jennifer Moore. Tried and true. You got a lot of fans watching. I love it. It's great.
Adam is running for my old position of Eastern Vice Chair, and he has my full endorsement. He is the person to follow and get those last three counties in the East organized.
There we go. We're rocking and rolling. I love it. Yeah. So if anybody wants to see what you're doing, what Jen is doing, head over to Facebook, More, Moore, success for the number 4 PA. Check out her page. Jen, is there anything that I missed, something that we should be talking about that I might have missed?
I don't think so. I just want to let everybody know our convention is going to be the best attended in LPPA history. It's going to be huge, easily 2 or 3 times what our other conventions are.
Wow.
So please show up if you're in the area. Please go to our convention, lppa.org/convention. and register if you plan on being a part of the business meeting, because credentialing is going to be a line. If you're pre-registered, we'll have you pre-credentialed and you can just pick up that name badge. We're going to shut down credentialing at 8:55 sharp, and then we're going to do officer reports, officer elections, and then, move into the board and bylaws and things like that. But it's all important. So
I wish I could make it. Sadly, California's doing the same time.
Yeah, it was
I'm
the
going to be in
same
California.
weekend.
Sorry about that. I made the last one or two, didn't I? I just couldn't make
Yeah,
this
you've
one.
been to the last couple for us. So we
Yes.
do have a great speaker lineup. Yeah, California got a lot of the big name speakers, but it's tough when it's convention season. We have to work around our venues, and planning a convention when we're still in pandemic restrictions has not been easy. I mean, I can't give enough props to our committee, because one thing after another has come up with the venue. We actually had to move everything outdoors. Because with the restrictions from the state, we didn't have enough room for the number of people who have registered. So, one thing after another. They are absolute heroes. I mean, I'm on the committee, but I'm just like watching them make the magic happen.
It's great. That's great. Well, Jen, thank you so much for coming. Everybody else, thank you so much for watching. Give me a small chunk of your afternoon. I'll be back on tonight at 7 p.m. I will see you all, I hope,